So that's the Avalokitesvara mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. And this morning in my practice, I was chanting the Avalokitesvara mantra, not that particular one, a faster one, which it needed to be because I was intending to chant a mantra for all those people that died yesterday. And there were over 560 people. So I chanted a mantra for each one of those people. And in doing so, I was trying to bring them to mind in quite a human way. You know, they're not just numbers, they're people with their lives, with their families, with their loved ones, people that wanted to live just as we wanted to live. I mean, I know that's very obvious, but actually, I think it's very easy for people just to become numbers. So yeah, I was thinking particularly of the kinds of, you know, all the lives that they led. I think there were 4 doctors that have died recently, one who'd just come out of retirement to offer his services. So yes, some very sad stories we're hearing. So how do we work with this in meditation? I think there's a tendency for us to feel a bit guilty, you know, meditating or allowing ourselves to have a quiet mind or a spacious mind or even a joyful mind. And it's really important that we do have a joyful mind at the moment, that we're not just overwhelmed by all the suffering that there is and the things that are going on in the news. So yeah, I would urge you to not listen or look at too much news because it does permeate the mind, you know, quite deeply. So one of the things I've been doing in my practice at the moment is, reflecting on thoughts in meditation. So as you know, one of the things that we often say in classes is, you know, don't see thoughts as something that shouldn't be there. Don't see them as wrong in some way, that you're meant to have a spacious mind when you're meditating, an empty mind rather. Spacious mind, yes. Empty mind, no. And, some of the ways that I thought I'd just say a bit about some of the ways I've been working in meditation. So one of the teachings that I often quote is Dilgo Khyentse. And one of the texts, it's quite a short text. I originally found this in Matthew Ricard's book, Journey to Enlightenment, and it was a quote from Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. I'm not going to read it all because it's fairly substantial, but a couple of things I will talk about. He says it's our mind that leads us astray into the cycle of existence. So what we do is we freeze awareness into solid concepts such as I and other, desirable and detestable, and plenty of others, and this is how we create samsara. So all the time we are solidifying what occurs in our mind, our thoughts, we're solidifying them, and we believe them to be true. Another thing he says, if you know how to leave your thoughts free to dissolve by themselves as they arise, they will cross your mind as a bird crosses the sky without leaving any trace. I'll repeat that. If you know how to leave your thoughts free to dissolve by themselves as they arise, they will cross your mind as a bird crosses the sky without leaving any trace. So that's what we've got to know, how to leave our thoughts free to dissolve by themselves. In other words, not to chase after them, not to think they shouldn't be there, not to push them away, but not to run after them. In other words, allow them to just evaporate quite naturally. That's not as easy to do, is it, as it sounds? So some of the things that can help us is, firstly, not believing our thoughts, not thinking that they have some kind of substance that we need to take seriously. So I think it really helps to have a humour about our practice, actually, to have a humour about the mind and the way that it seems to control us. You know, we can intend all sorts of things, and then our actions are very different. You know, we might sit down with an intention that we're really going to stay with the breath today, and before we know it, you know, we can't count beyond 3 and our mind's gone all over the place. So another thing that helps me is to actually look at what a thought is. So yeah, just to say, when you start thinking in meditation, when a thought arises and you've followed it, if we can think in terms of not getting caught up with the content and be more interested in actually what a thought is, or where it is, or how it, you know, what it is actually made of, we start to see its emptiness, its empty nature. So this is what we're trying to do, is to notice when we're solidifying thoughts, when we've made them into something. So let's say you've got things to do, you've got a list of things to do, and you know, they're playing on your mind. What we're doing is we're giving them importance. So sometimes it can help to just have a bit of paper and a pen beside you so you can drop it down, pop it down there, and you don't have to think about it anymore. It's like we don't have to give things a weight that we think we've got to give them. So for the moment, if we decide that for this half hour we're going to meditate, then all we need to do is to really not take our thoughts seriously, not to get trapped by them, not to get controlled by them, and to allow them to evaporate. He ends up by saying, whatever circumstances arise, do not plunge into either elation or misery, but stay free and comfortable in unshaken serenity. It's a beautiful phrase, isn't it? Unshaken serenity. And we'll only have that if we can allow thoughts, troubling thoughts or positive thoughts, whatever they are, to just dissolve. That's all I've got time for today, so I'm going to stop there and I'll see you tomorrow.